Hi everything. Welcome back to podcast
Kami,
aka podcast Kisah,
Anak,
Monash.
Indonesia.
Yep.
Okay, so welcome to episode 4 where we're gonna be talking about mental health. This episode is gonna be split into 2 portions, part 1 and part 2. Ini part 1 kita where kita mau
Ngobrolin Opini.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is our first Ngopi episode. It's gonna be a bit different from how we are usually, kayak as you probably have noticed.
Gitu hari ini, banget.
We're not as energetic as usually, nggak crackhead energy ya. Because this episode, we want to talk about something a bit more serious, and we want the tone to be taken more seriously. Because the purpose of this is kayak
Spread awareness.
and
Giving information.
educating. Yeah. And throughout this episode, we might be looking down, referring to our notes, just to make sure that what we're saying is correct and based on our research, and that everything is in a good order so that you guys can easily understand.
Yes.
Yeah. So, just a recap. This is Jody.
Jesilyn.
And I'm Naila. We're your host. Hari ini nggak ada guest star.
Yeah.
Yes.
And disclaimer before we start, we're not professionals, okay?
Yeah.
We're only talking about information that's based on our research. We're not really trying to give you professional advice or anything. We're just simply trying to spread awareness and education so that, it brings light to this topic.
Yeah, and kita kan we're not experts, so if we make some mistakes, you can tell us in the comments or anything.
Terus udah gitu kayak apa yang kita omongin ntar itu kan as we said earlier itu dari research sama kayak apa yang kita pelajarin dari sekolah kan. Jadi ya what we said might not be true as well. Maksudnya bisa misleading lah. Jadi kalau buat biar pasti gitu di research ulang gitu loh.
Yeah, I mean we obviously
Cross-check.
tried our best to get correct resources, but just in case we do get something wrong, or if you have personal experience about it, feel free to comment down below so that you can educate others as well as us, supaya next time we know. And yeah, I'm sorry we sound a bit nervous, that's because we are. It's our first time, but
the very very serious us.
we're not trying to do any harm, just trying to spread awareness. So yeah, and again, last thing before we start is a trigger warning. So some of the topics that we might be talking about might be confronting for some of you. So maybe watch with some caution.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Take it with a grain of
sensitive
salt.
topic.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So let's start. First up, what is mental health? Okay, so supaya nggak salah, I'm going to be quoting definisi mental health from WHO, the World Health Organization. Supaya nggak salah,
Yep.
Okay, so what is mental health? Mental health is the state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to her or his community. So, mental health is the opposite of mental health conditions, aka mental illness, but the two terms are very closely related, so don't get them wrong.
Mixed up, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, terus here I'm gonna talk about the mental health from a sociological perspective ya. Tapi sebelum itu I will give a brief explanation on what is sociology. Sociology itself, based from my note, lecture notes actually, is the systematic study of human behavior in social context gitu kan. Terus udah gitu, it also focus on the organization of human life. It looks at how people's life are influenced by their opportunities and experiences and the impact that people have on the society through taking action and creating change gitu. Terus udah gitu, unlike psychologist definition of mental health, yang tadi psychologist kan?
I guess.
Yeah.
But more from a health
medicinal
perspective,
health.
medicinal health
Lebih
perspective.
Scientific.
Ya, kalau gitu beda sama psychologist. Kalau sociological itu lebih ngelihatnya tuh kayak differently gitu. Jadi kayak mereka tuh lebih fokus sama environmental factors yang trigger, kalau enggak yang affect people's mental well-being gitu.
So aka like the culture,
The
terus kayak,
age, yang social factors lah gitu.
Okay. Nah, what does mental health entail sih sebenarnya? What does it include?
Jadi mental health itu, it includes your emotional and psychological and social well-being. Then these factors really affect on how we feel, act, and think on daily basis. And it also determines how we handle like situations and then stress, socialize with people, and make choices. And that information is based from mentalhealth.gov.
Okay, jadi as you can see kayak your state of mental well-being itu affects everything in your life from like the way you act and socialize with other people to kayak how you're able to do tasks and whatnot.
Yep.
Would you like to add anything?
Well, to be honest, unlike Jess and Naila, I've never really studied about mental health during my studies, so I can't say I can really add too much into it. But what I can add is my experiences, which will be discussed in part
2.
So I will be taking more of a backseat probably in this episode because I haven't done as much research as them. But I'll chime in if I can.
Yes, and like Jody said, kayak tadi kita at the start we said that it was a two-parter. So part 2 will be ngoceh kayak biasa. We're gonna be talking about how mental health really like affects us and our experiences. So there's that. So what are the benefits of having good mental health?
Obviously, you're like gonna be productive.
Yes.
Agreed.
So having good mental health is associated with increased learning, creativity, productivity, positive social relationships, and improved physical health actually, because if you're not in the right state of mind, then it can be quite difficult to also take care of yourself and maintain your physical well-being, and therefore it's also related with better life expectancies. On the other hand, kayak mental health conditions can negatively impact one's like day-to-day living, kayak from functioning normally, and like it might negatively impact their relationships, and it can be associated with poor physical health and of course kayak unfortunately premature death from suicide.
Which I'm gonna talk about that later in the further. Soalnya like the research that I did also covered about that.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me just briefly touch on it. So mental health itu sebenarnya it's very complicated. It's like a spectrum. It's not just like you're healthy and you're not, you know. Like it's not like physical health where kayak kalau as long as you don't have a sickness, you're good, you know. So just because someone isn't diagnosed with a certain like mental health condition doesn't mean that their mental health is flourishing. Like it's not necessarily thriving gitu loh. Because they might just be able to cope with all of these issues, tapi kayak ternyata kurang gitu loh mental health-nya, ya kan. And kayak just like that, it's also possible to be diagnosed with something without you actually kayak sadar kayak how it impacts your daily living kayak super clearly. You know, kayak beberapa orang kan kelihatan banget kan, kayak when they're struggling with something kayak kelihatan there's a drastic change. There are some people yang kayak nggak kelihatan kayak gitu, tapi ternyata they are like struggling with a certain condition. So it's pretty complicated. It's not as simple as kayak tuh orang there's something wrong with them. Tapi kayak you know kayak it's very complex.
Terus yang bikin lebih kompleksnya itu juga karena kayak mental health cannot be self-diagnosed. So that's why like you need a professional to know like you have something wrong gitu loh. Although like you can feel it, but then like to make sure, you know.
Just like physical health, you know, kalau misalkan kalian sakit, you go to a doctor, dok, saya sakit apa ya? It should be the same thing for mental health.
It's just that it's not obvious, like you're hurting.
Nah, what kita sekarang mau move on to like some common mental health issues yang ada in our society, just so that like you can be more kayak familiar with it lah ya. Kayak maksudnya we know mental health is a thing and we know like some of it, tapi kayak it's hard to recognize it and kayak apa sih sebenarnya these conditions, kayak and why is it so important gitu loh. Okay, so we're gonna start So today we're gonna be talking about like I have 4 major kayak mental health conditions that are commonly found. in everyone. The first one being anxiety disorders. Now, anxiety itu sebenarnya there are very many kinds of anxiety disorders, from generalized anxiety to panic disorder, where you have a lot of panic attacks, kayak very frequent panic attacks. And then you have social phobias, and then specific phobias, kayak contohnya specific phobia itu kayak agoraphobia, tau gak sih yang kayak. So once you have a comfortable environment, you're scared to step out of it.
So it's like pretty much staying in your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yes, to an extreme level.
Okay.
Jadi kayak
Emang separah apa?
I guess it depends on the person. Yeah, I think it depends on the person deh. Ada beberapa orang yang kayak takut leave their house because of certain paranoias, kayak nanti kalau I keluar bisa ketahuan ini itu ini ya kan.
Yeah.
So they like to stay in their comfort zone, and it's quite challenging to deal with. Terus ada kayak claustrophobia, and you know lah phobia lainnya yang kayak spesifik banget.
Yang nggak bisa, yang nggak berani.
Fobia tuh masuk ke anxiety aslinya.
Apparently so. Yeah,
that's new actually.
That's new knowledge.
Yeah, so all of these research will be linked kayak in the description. Kayak sources kita bakal ada di bawah. So if you do want to read more about it, you can.
We will provide it on the description box below.
Yeah, and then other anxiety disorders include OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, PTSD, and etc. Kayak banyak banget ya pokoknya. Yeah, those are the major ones. Okay, so anxiety is more than just being stressed sebenarnya. You know, like you hear anxiety, apa sih stres-stresan gitu kan pikirnya. Kayak siapa yang nggak stres? Kamu pasti pernah stres kan?
Sering banget.
Justru kalau if you're never stressed, bertanya-tanya kenapa nggak pernah stres sebagai like as a normal human being.
You might be wondering kayak kalau we say that kayak okay, so then what's the difference between just normal stress and anxiety kan? So with normal stress, you usually have like a stressor. Ada yang bikin kamu stress. For example, uni exams, right? Once that stressor is gone, you're done with exams. The stress goes away. Okay. Now with anxiety, this feeling of anxiousness kind of like stays and lingers. It's like more present.
It follows you.
Yeah, and you have more difficulty like dealing with it, like coping with it. So like if your stressor is gone and you still feel anxious, like constantly anxious, and you have a trouble of coping, then this might be a sign that you do have anxiety. Okay, so there you go. That's the difference. It's not just I'm anxious. Yeah.
It's more than that.
Yeah. Anxiety is actually the most common mental health condition in Australia.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. So if you do experience this, you're not alone. Ini kayak throughout this, like I'm gonna be mentioning some statistics, just so that you feel more. Kayak, oh yeah, it's not.
It's actually
a bad
pretty
thing.
normal.
Like I don't have to be embarrassed about it. You know, it's okay to speak to other people. Yeah. So yeah, it's very common.
And like this is the main idea that we're trying to give out to you guys, kayak
to normalize talking about your mental health, that it's fine. It's like you're not alone. We're like there's always someone.
Okay, I understand there is a stigma around mental health, and especially in some like cultures, but I think that's because of a lack of understanding, which we'll touch on later again. Tapi kayak, it's not anything to be ashamed of. Just like your physical health, you should be okay with talking about your mental health. You know, it's just as important. Yeah, so actually, 1 in 4 people experience anxiety in life. At least that's a statistic in Australia. Ya kan? 1 in 3 women and 1 in every 5 men experience anxiety in their life, throughout their life. Yeah. And then the next one, agak panjang guys. The next one is actually ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It's pretty common in children, and it usually affects boys more than girls. But ini I'm not really gonna talk kepanjangan about this, but it's quite common. Moving on, is the third most common, it's not in order. Okay, so moving on, the third common mental health issue is depression. You know, I think we hear about depression quite often. But like, do we actually know what it is?
Do we actually know what depression is like? How it is like?
So depression is characterized by sadness, loss of interest or pleasure, lack of motivation, etc., etc. But like anxiety, it's not just low mood. It's not just being sad. You know, sometimes it even like shows up out of nowhere, and you don't even know why you're feeling sad. You know, and it's like very complicated. Okay, so it can be be due to like changes in the brain chemistry, like surrounding kayak apa
Environment.
transmitters kayak noradrenaline, serotonin, bla bla bla, ya kan. It's too scientific. Tapi
Dengarnya juga pusing tuh.
yeah, and it can even be due to like drug side effects, ya. Kayak have you heard kayak Accutane, for example, raw Accutane yang buat
No.
jerawat? It actually is quite commonly associated with depression.
Oh, really?
As in like it can trigger atau
Yeah, like I've talked to 2 people that I know. They literally take Accutane gitu kan. Terus kayak out of nowhere they would just like cry.
Is it-
Out of nowhere,
is
they
it-
don't even know
is
why.
it the chemicals?
Yeah, I think it has like I mean it acts differently on everyone, but I guess it triggered some changes in them and like they got depression.
Wah, I never know kalau obat-obat bisa kayak trigger
Iya,
depression.
kayak what I know sih emang kayak medicine emang kadang-kadang ada side effect. Tapi I didn't
Yeah,
know
but I didn't know
kayak
it's that bad.
iya kayak
Depends on the
obat
drug.
jerawat gitu. I didn't
Iya,
know.
cuma berjerawat tuh ya.
I mean, technically it's not that simple. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean that's a talk about Accutane, but yeah.
like-
Anyway,
okay.
Yeah, but
Move
there are
on.
a lot of drugs that can like alter your brain chemistry. That's why just like it can make you have depression. There are also antidepressants, kan? Which
yeah.
the idea is, kalau misalnya you balance out the chemicals, and you technically shouldn't have depression, but that's not always the case. Yeah, it depends on the person lah. There are some people yang kayak works well with certain drugs and not other drugs. I don't know. I need more experience. I'm not experienced enough to talk about this. Yeah, but yeah. There you go. And there's different types of depression. Ada melancholia yang kayak always like just sad. And then there's psychotic depression.
Emang psychotic
I think what they mean by psychotic depression is like psychotic breaks, as in like it happens periodically. Like you have instances where you have like episodes. I guess what I would describe it as. I don't know if that's the right wording for it, but yeah. And then there's antenatal and postnatal depression. People call this baby blues. Yeah, and a lot of people actually experience this. Kayak
before they have a baby.
After.
Okay, so there's almost 10% of women actually experience depression during the pregnancy.
Oh yeah, I heard about that a lot.
And then it goes up to 16%
after they
like
give birth.
in almost 16% of women experience depression in the first 3 months postpartum. So that means like 3 months after giving birth. Yeah, and logically speaking, you're like, oh, why would she be sad, right? Because like, I mean, you just gave birth to a baby, and the idea is like,
Yeah, you should
I
be
feel
happy.
like-
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like it's more of the stress of them coping see with the baby.
beda-beda. I don't know. There's
Yeah.
I don't know. Kayak
You can't pinpoint
you
anything.
can't pinpoint
Yeah,
the
yeah,
trigger.
yeah.
Tapi kayak a lot of people experience it.
Tapi I've read before somewhere kayak it's also possible because apa namanya kayak they're used to they're used to having a baby inside
Their body, yeah, and then
Terus
it's
kayak
out.
It's out.
Yes. So it depends on the person lah. There's a lot of different triggers about like what causes the depression. So you can't say like, oh yeah, depression is caused by this. A lot of people don't know what causes their depression, and like it's very complicated, which is why you should always seek for help. If you think you're going through something, or even if you're like worried about someone going through something, don't be scared. Like ask for help, you know. Like you can only do so much. Okay, so like you think you have depression, what are you gonna do about it, right? It's quite
Of course, you
confronting.
don't want to stay in that kind of state for like
Yes.
forever, but of course you want help. Gitu.
And like even with help, right? Yes, you can ask for help from your friends and family, but again, like they're also not professionals. Like for example, if someone came to me and they were like struggling with depression, like yes, of course I want to help, right? I'll help in any way that I can, but it's not like I actually know how to like deal with it.
Yeah, because I feel like at the end of the day, professional helps. Like it's way better than
Yeah,
like
agree.
asking for like peers. Yes, of course they will be there to hear for you, but then it's better to have advices from the professional.
Yeah, because that way they can also guide you through it and they can see your progress, ya kan?
Kayak
So
we can't do much.
Yeah.
You know,
The most we can do for you, be there for you and listen. But then what else can we do?
Yeah,
Palingan
kayak-
forever, not forever lah, amit-amit. Tapi kayak you're stuck in that gitu loh, gitu-gitu doang, ulang-ulang terus gitu. Like there's no end to that.
yeah, pokoknya, I guess like what we're trying to say is like,
It's okay.
We can try to help, but like we don't know necessarily how to help, and like depending on the severity of the depression juga, it depends on how much we can help, you know.
Betul.
So yeah, ask for help if you need. And the last common disorder that we wanted to talk about is eating disorders. Now, eating disorders itu ada banyak kan, ada anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, and other binge eating disorders. And I know like when you hear about like eating disorders, you think, oh, cuma cewek yang ngalamin, right?
No.
Which it's not true. Yes, like women are more affected by eating disorders. 64% of people with these eating disorders are female, but that still leaves 37% being male. So that's still quite a lot of males affected,
although not
right?
as much as female, tapi ya
Yeah.
pasti masih ada gitu.
Yeah. So like it's not like something yang oh ya cuma cewek yang ngalamin itu
The ratio is still quite high.
Yes.
Mental health
Yeah.
nggak lihat targetnya guys.
Yes.
Mereka they don't care who are you, they just come to you. So
It can happen
everyone
to anyone.
Yeah, which we're gonna touch on again.
Yes.
Okay. And 15% of women will experience eating disorder at some point in their life. 15%, 15%, guys. That's really
That's
high.
quite high, yeah.
Yeah, and this can be like this is obviously like associated with like certain beauty standards. I feel like women are held to a higher standard in terms of their appearance, whereas men aren't expected to like look a certain way as much. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen to men, of course it happens. Tapi yeah, it's very unrealistic to have these beauty standards, and it can trigger like a lot of eating disorders, especially if you're not experienced. And like, you know lah, ada banyak orang yang bilang kayak, oh yeah, if you want to lose weight, you have to have a calorie deficit, blah 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 blah. And then kayak nanti it's like a downward slope. Like you start calorie counting, but you don't really know how.
Yeah.
And then you start kayak nggak mau makan, blah 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 blah, and so on and so forth, right? And about 20% of females actually are undiagnosed with an eating disorder. So
Berarti nggak tahu ya kalau dia punya eating disorder sebenarnya.
Because some people kayak, I think you dismiss it, kayak you're like, oh, I don't have an eating disorder. It's not like I do this every day. Oh, cuma sekali-sekali nggak mau makan, you know, kayak sekali-sekali gini, sekali-sekali gitu. Tapi kayak you're really just in denial. Yeah. So it's quite worrying.
I feel like the reason why people juga mental health-nya kayak nggak begitu dipeduliin itu juga gara-gara mereka denial sih.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because this is actually, I want to talk about this later, but like it's like gimana ya, even if say I'm worried about you or you, right? And I want to help, right? Tapi kayak if I ask you kayak, oh, are you okay? Kayak sebenarnya like what's going on? Do you need help? I can only help if you allow me to help. If you say no, I don't need help, I'm completely fine. Then how am I supposed to know what you're going through,
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Kan dia juga nggak mungkin kayak
maksa, ya kan? Yeah. So it's like you can only like it's hard juga to recognize.
And like at times kayak I don't know what kind of help I need gitu loh.
Yeah.
Which we're gonna talk about later maybe.
So hard. Yeah. So I guess what we're just trying to say, like with all of this, like you see how complicated it is. It's like in kita we're only touching on like the very common disorders. There's so many out there.
Layaran atas doang,
Barely layaran atas, right? Like there's so many.
Ini kalau misalnya ini laut ya kan laut udah dalam banget kan. Ini bener-bener kayak masih di udaranya gila.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a lot of time to understand, but I really encourage everyone to look up on it and like kind of be more interested in it. Kayak learning about it is actually quite interesting, and obviously like you want to be able to help other people or like recognize when someone's going through something, or recognize if you're going through it so that you know when to ask for help. Okay, so I mean, if you want this to be a series on our like YouTube or something on Instagram or like apa gitu kayak where we talk about more specific like things about mental
let
health.
us know.
Yeah.
Let us know. Maybe we can do it. I don't know. We'll see,
can
right?
We can.
You know.
But yeah. Okay. Moving on. So what causes mental health issues? Who's actually the target? Kayak tadi kita sempat touch on it a little bit, right? Like Jess bilang apa? Nggak ada targetnya.
Iya, memang nggak ada target bener. Tapi kalau misalnya from a sociologist point of view ya, mereka tuh selalu bilang kayak faktornya tuh banyak. Ada faktor lingkungan, umur, gender, agama, whatever, banyak banget faktornya. Ya, dan itu ya bisa attack siapa aja gitu. Jadi it really depends like some your sekitaran gitu loh. And then what you believe, your culture, everything.
Yeah, there are certain things that can make you more prone to it. Tapi it's not like one thing, you know. It's I think it's a mix of things.
It's apalagi kalau semuanya ketemu jadi satu dan itu kayak nge-trigger gitu.
Contoh.
Yeah, I have a few
common causes which are listed by the government of Australia. So yeah, for just general knowledge.
Same source.
Same source. Apparently mental health tuh genetic, guys. So
Bisa jadi genetic.
if someone in your family they have mental illness, it's possible that you can get mental illness too. Jadi sama aja kayak sakit apa sih?
Like anything, sakit
kayak
apapun.
anything, kayak
Soalnya
physical.
kanker atau apa
It's actually,
gitu.
yeah.
Yang menurun gitu secara
Diabetes gitu-gitu. It's the same thing. So if someone you know have mental illness, it's also possible that you may have one. So it's just learn about it, so maybe you know what's
You might be
happening.
more aware.
Yeah, you might be more aware.
Yeah, I think like additional point to that, right? Not only is it genetics, I guess like with family history, ya kayak other diseases gitu, kayak yes, it might be your genes kayak that's running in your family, kayak you're more prone to it, kayak if it runs in your family. Tapi I think kayak kalau misalnya kalian satu keluarga gitu, you're kind of exposed to the same factors. I
Yeah,
wanna say.
agree.
Yeah, right. So I think it's like goes hand in hand. Kayak because like just said gitu, there are a lot of environmental factors, including kayak apa tadi kamu bilang?
umur, culture, social belief. Oh, and I wanna add on as well.
Economic
Oh,
status.
social economic status bener banget. Itu paling
Yeah.
Anyway, aku juga mau add on kalau historical era kayak as in like the period you were born in or the historical era you were in gitu. Everything really bisa jadi trigger pointnya mental health gitu.
Yeah. Yeah.
banyak ini dari research yang aku baca semalam. Nanti artikelnya dari bawah, tapi yang did the research is Horwitz in 2009. Oh my god, lengkap.
So kayak connecting to the family, jadi kayak things that happens in our childhood to usually affects us
Yes.
in a
Childhood
huge
trauma.
way
Yeah, benar.
Guys,
when we are adults.
Because this is actually related to childhood psychology. Yeah. Actually, right, everything that happens in your like first couple of years of living like really impacts the
Oh, yeah.
person. It forms the person you are today.
Itu
Yeah.
konsepnya tuh kayak yang you ever heard yang orang bilang kalau when you wake up the first few minutes really matters.
Yes, it's kind of like that.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. But yeah, so kayak gitu, like your childhood and like your upbringing, as well as kayak trauma that you might have experienced in the past, kayak even if like you're not aware of it, because there are certain instances where you experience a trauma, but then your brain tries to like conceal it from yourself, because like you're trying to protect yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Defense mechanism.
you might have gone through something atau kayak maybe just like life experiences and challenges. Kayak for example COVID-19, 2020 in general, right? What was that?
Yeah.
Right?
A whole roller coaster ride, honey.
Yeah, so that's massive because like it really did impact like a lot of lives. But yeah. See, a lot of things can trigger.
And like the trauma tuh mungkin kayak orang lain ngelihat kita kayak oh cuman gitu doang. But like for us tuh kayak
It's
deep
more than that,
banget.
man. It's more than
Yeah,
that.
I
Yeah.
hate it when people say that because like just because
You're going through something
even
even worse
even
doesn't
worse,
mean that other people punya
you shouldn't
difficulty.
validate it. Yeah,
So
exactly.
it affects us, each of us in a different way gitu loh. So respect what everyone's
going through. Everyone's not going like everyone's going through different things, and what you think is like meh doesn't mean it's meh for them.
Yeah.
First of all, that right, and then like it's like a good example of it is like grief, for example. Kayak people deal with grief differently. Ada orang yang benar-benar kayak very emotional for a long period of time. Ada beberapa orang yang cuma kayak
It happens.
Yeah.
Then okay, I'm gonna absorb it for a moment. Then I'll move on.
Ya, tapi juga bisa jadi kayak maybe it seems like a small thing, tapi kayak there has been a lot of things that's adding up, kayak building gitu, and that's just the tipping point, you know.
Yeah,
Kayak,
agree.
I guess just don't invalidate what other people say.
Every feeling is
Valid. Yeah. And kayak tadi we've mentioned a little bit with socioeconomic status, right? It's actually what we mean by this is actually banyak sih. Kayak contohnya if someone is in poverty atau in debt, obviously kayak it's gonna bring a lot of stress.
Yes, benar. And which leads to suicide kadang.
Yeah.
Parah banget sih.
Yeah, kayak it's multifactorial.
Yeah, it leads to a lot of things.
It's
Yeah. So That's sad.
And like it's like, kayak mungkin tadi kita juga udah bilang it affects each of us in a different way. Tapi menurut government Australia, emang each of us tuh emang beda-beda because kita kan
we
punya
cope with things differently.
kan kita
like
punya personality yang unik kan. Nah, personality kita tuh bisa jadi it leads to a higher chance of having mental illness gitu loh.
Yeah. Oh, I think this is good to talk about in our part 2
Iya,
especially.
makanya.
Because we're all very different.
We're all
Leslie.
different.
we all cope with our
Stresses
Yeah,
differently.
stresses
We go through
different.
different things
Iya.
juga. Yeah, I feel like one thing that might stress you out might not stress us
Iya.
out. One thing that stresses me out might not stress you guys out, and so forth, right? Yeah. So
Maybe I can give a small example. Ini kayak small aja, mungkin kayak kalian
tune in next week supaya tahu.
Iya, makanya ini kayak contoh aja. It's not mine, ini kayak general aja ya. Kayak mungkin kayak kalian ngomong di public, terus ada yang kayak ngejek kalian gitu. Mungkin ada yang kayak, oh yaudah, it's just someone talking
tapi kan
bad about
kita
me.
mikirnya lain gitu.
Iya.
We take it differently.
Tapi ada yang kayak, oh dia nggak suka sama gue.
Iya.
Makanya dia ngomong kayak
makanya
gitu
dia
yang
ngomong kayak
benar-benar
gitu.
overthink gitu kan.
Imagine
banget.
someone with social anxiety digituin.
Oh my
Iya.
god,
Mati aja.
Nightmare, honey.
Makanya,
Please.
pokoknya we're gonna talk about this stuff in the next part 2.
Yeah.
So chime in guys.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Terus kayak kayak speaking of kayak how people deal with it differently, I think mental health is also seen differently by many different societies. Kayak for example di Indo sama di Aus saja kayak beda ya.
Beda
Kayak,
banget.
I think in Australia mereka benar-benar take it seriously. Like it's not a joke.
They
at
always
all.
ask you gitu loh.
Yes.
Like
Kayak-
jangan, pokoknya mereka tuh selalu encourage kita buat nggak ragu to talk about our feelings, cause our feeling is valid gitu
Yes.
buat mereka gitu.
I think we've mentioned this in like either episode 1 apa 2
I
gitu.
think we've actually talked about mental health in like
sering
1, 2, 3.
Iya,
Yeah.
ada kita selalu touch on terus.
Iya, because
Yeah.
it is an important
It is,
thing
yeah.
di sini gitu loh.
Yeah, I think in previous episodes we mentioned how like the university kayak they implement a lot of things to try and make sure you're doing well mentally and physically. Kayak for example kayak they have free counseling sessions.
Are you okay?
Are you okay day?
And that's how I actually realized kalau mental health is very important. Cause like back in Indo, I didn't know it's that important to
Yes.
be honest
Yes,
until I
yes.
came here.
Iya, kayak back then people talk about it tapi kayak udah.
Cuman ya sebatas ngomong gitu doang kayak
Iya,
I'm feeling
iya.
stressed udah gitu doang.
Yeah, I think di sini there's a lot of resources that's super easy to access. And kayak I feel like even in orientation and whatnot, mereka ajarin kita kayak if you're going through something atau if you're worried about someone, these are the steps. This is what you should do, right? Whereas kayak di Indo, kayak first of all, not that many people talk about it. Second of all, it's still a little bit taboo. I want to say like
Yeah.
not necessarily taboo, but kind of Tapi like we said, it's like
Kayak banyak orang yang nggak mau, like they rather not to talk about this
it.
gitu. They
Right.
rather talk about something else, like your physical well-being atau apa gitu, rather than your mental health gitu loh.
Yeah, though this is kind of understandable because like we said earlier, there's a lack of understanding that kind of evolved into ignorance and like negative connotations surrounding mental health.
I also feel like mungkin karena di Asian culture ya in a way, kayak kita lebih diajar untuk mind our own business
Iya.
gitu.
Yes.
So I think that's probably
Don't ask about other people, just do you.
mind, you do you gitu loh. So
Yes.
that's why we don't really, tanya orang, like lebih kayak kalau ada apa-apa simpan sendiri, nggak diceritain
Yeah,
gitu.
I think it's like when you ask other people how they're doing, it seems like you're meddling.
Iya.
Iya.
Terus bahkan aja kayak kadang ngerasa nggak sih karena culture kita ya, kalau misalnya orang nanya, kan orang biasa nanya how are you, kalau di sini kan orang pasti
It
jawabnya
seems
kayak
genuine.
it seems very genuine gitu. Terus orang-orang kalau jawab juga kayak bilangnya I'm feeling like this, even like if they're feeling sad mereka juga bakalan bilang.
Iya.
Tapi kalau kita di Indo, kalau tiap kali kita ditanya how are you, refleks kita tuh jawabnya I'm okay. Maksudnya kayak gimana ya, kayak
Basa-basi.
cover up gitu loh.
Yeah.
Itu kayak sebagai basa-basi
Iya,
doang.
I would never say that I'm not okay di Indo.
Yeah, kayak we will not really like talk about our actual feelings gitu kalau di Indo gitu.
Yeah, but ya itu kayak tadi kita bilang, because there's not a lot of understanding. Kayak even I have to admit sebelum coming here, like I didn't really understand it. I was like, apa sih? Emangnya kenapa mental health? Kayak okay, I get it. There's anxiety, there's depression. Tapi kayak what is it? Like so what? Kayak segitunya
Does it
emangnya?
really matter?
Yeah,
Gitu.
like emangnya segitunya tah? Kayak why is it Where do people talk about it? Kayak, it seems like everyone has anxiety. It seems like everyone has depression. Kayak, especially on social media, like everyone's coming out like, oh yeah, I'm going through this. I have depression, I have anxiety, and then you see it kayak from uneducated perspective. You're like, apaan sih ini lagi, ya kan?
Kayak back then I thought kayak apakah perlu ke psikologis gitu, kayak buat apaan ke psikologis gitu.
So see, I'm not trying to like what we're trying to say is kayak we're not trying to bash anyone who has this mindset, because I have to admit, I dulu juga pernah kayak gitu.
Ya, maksudnya kita pasti selalu avoid lah.
Yes.
Karena growing up and accustomed to the culture in Indo, jadi kayak it makes us feel like we don't really want to talk about that, because like also kalau misalnya kita ngomong tentang perasaan kita, people will see us as vulnerable. So we would rather avoid gitu. Jadi kayak ya udah nggak disimpan sendiri aja, terus lama-lama ya pent up ya boom.
Yeah, but just because that's the case doesn't mean you shouldn't continue to seek like education and like try to educate yourself to understand it, because as you can see, like kita sekarang we all think so differently about mental health. Mental health is so important. I think.
I really need to give credits coming to here, thank God. Then that's how I realized it's very, very, very important to your health, to your own well-being gitu. Because like if you're physically okay tapi you're mentally not okay, then what's the point gitu loh? Both of them needs to be okay gitu loh.
Itu. Cause like I guess kayak tadi kamu sempat bilang nggak sih at the start kayak where physical health is pretty obvious, like when you're going through something.
Benar.
Kayak kalau mental health it might not be as obvious, and you're just like,
you know, like kalau physical health is like you know there's something wrong with you, you can see it, you can feel it gitu loh. Maksudnya lebih obvious lah dibanding mental health. Kalau di mana mental health itu kayak you don't know unless until someone tell you that there's something going on with you gitu.
And sometimes dikasih tahu we're still in denial gitu.
Iya benar.
Because I think itu on top of that you're like trying to like seem like you're not going through anything because you want to look strong.
Benar.
I think a lot of kayak I don't know ya. I mean at least aku sendiri dulu kayak back home, like I feel like emotions atau kayak when you're going through or struggling with something, it's a sign of weakness.
Benar.
So you don't really want to seem like I don't
kayak
know
we
what you're
always
talking
keep up
about.
the strong front in front of us gitu loh. Kayak we always want to look strong, like undefeatable and everything, but then inside you're actually like, you know, I'm not okay, struggling. But then you just don't want to let it out.
So like there's really no need to do that. Like if you're struggling, you know, it's fine. Everyone struggles.
You have your own struggle and it's fine.
It's
you and you're unique in your own way.
Kayak that's why we're doing this. It's because
we want to let you know that it's okay.
And we believe that one of the main reasons kayak it's seen negatively di Indo, it's because lack of awareness juga. So we're trying to spread awareness, so at least you know that it's okay to talk about this. It's okay to go through what you're going through. It's okay to let out your feelings, guys. So
if anything, it takes a lot of courage to admit that you need help. And like, how can you get better if you don't fix it?
How would you get better if you don't want to accept it and embrace whatever you're feeling gitu kan.
So, it's really not weak at all. If anything, I look up to people who going through so much, because you're like, oh, they're going through so much and they're still like pushing through.
Makanya I also really admire people to those yang benar-benar kayak mau validate their feeling gitu, like whatever they're feeling is their feeling gitu, and it happens gitu loh. Mereka nggak mengecilkan sama sekali, tapi lebih ke acknowledge gitu.
I mean, sister. So there you go. Your physical and mental health. It
comes hand in hand.
It goes hand in hand. Like we mentioned earlier, okay. If you're not mentally like well, then you might not be able to maintain your physical health. And so like it goes hand in hand. And if you're sick, it might cause you to have like certain like mental health struggles, like mental health issues. If you're sick, you get a diagnosis gitu. You might grieve, right? And it might cause you some anxiety or apa gitu, depending on the person lah. So there you go. Stress is important, and I think more people are starting to realize it. Now we have some tips about like how you can like maintain better your mental health when you just every day in general, right? The first thing being kayak knowing when
To seek
for
help, that's very important.
which for everyone this is different. Even if it's so small, right? So minuscule, just the start of experiencing something. That's already an okay thing to ask for help for.
Yeah, because like if you don't do anything, it may lead to like
Yes.
more things.
Iya, benar-benar. Kalau dibiarin, orang bilang kan kalau misalnya ada selagi dia masih belum parah, kayak dokter kan selalu anjurin
Yeah,
kayak you go
I
to
agree,
something.
right?
Ya kalau misalnya belum parah, ya
It's
prevention is
really-
better than healing.
Yeah, prevention.
Curing,
is,
yeah.
Prevention is
Healing.
key.
Healing.
No healing, not killing.
Healing.
Iya, iya.
Soalnya kalau misalkan it's also you're into it deep enough tuh kayak it's
It's
hard
harder to get out.
Benar-benar.
It's harder to get out. So if it's early on and you catch it early on, then it's easier
Iya.
to fix per se. Not necessarily fix, but easier to manage, right? And like it's easier to prevent something from like spiraling daripada kayak itu sudah spiral and you have to get out of it because it's really really hard. Okay, it's not impossible. Obviously, a lot of people kind of manage to get through it, but it's gonna take much longer, and it takes a lot more effort and a
Yeah.
lot more support, a lot more strength. So yeah, prevention is key, guys. It's always okay to ask for help.
Ya, or like misalnya kalau belum pasti banget ya kayak bener-bener masih dikit banget ya of maybe you don't want to go to the professional yet, but then at least tell someone there, like your closest friend atau apa, tell them what's going on gitu,
Yeah.
to at least let you know that you're not alone
Yeah.
gitu, like a comfort gitu lah pokoknya.
Which is why kayak it's very important to have a good support system in general.
Agree.
Whether you're happy or sad, you should have a good support system.
Oh, I want to talk about that dong yang tentang sociologist that I read.
Yeah.
Semalam oh my god, I was reading, like I was so into it. Dia bilang tuh kayak, jadi kan tadi I said earlier di awal-awal ada yang tentang suicide punya apa study gitu kan. Jadi that study was done by Emil Durkheim. He's like a famous sociologist, and then he said that kalau misalnya suicide rate itu kayak lumayan tinggi gitu, tapi kalau as long as someone is in a, like they have a good social support and then a support system and then who they surround themselves with, itu rate suicide-nya nggak setinggi sama those yang isolate themselves, yang lonely gitu-gitu. So
Yeah.
Yes.
that's when I see kalau support system is very 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 very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, cause tadi kita lupa namain sih, tapi kayak yang who are prone to mental health conditions, isolation and like just feeling lonely can really trigger a lot of
Yeah, it
mental
does.
health issues. So yes,
Yeah.
there's that. Terus after having a good support system, I would say kayak making sure that you're like trying to maintain your physical health as well. So
Exercise.
Healthy diet.
exercise, sleep,
Exercising.
a lot of sleep,
Sleep,
friends.
please. Sleep is
We love
very
sleep.
important.
Yeah, sleep is
Yeah.
very important. Terus
Sleep above anything.
Terus this is gonna sound really sappy, right? Super sappy. Meditating. Yo, it's
I never
guys,
started actually.
it sounds
I
so
can't
sappy.
meditate.
Okay, I know. Trust me, I was one of you. I was the same. I was like,
Okay.
apa sih meditate? So, aduh, cheesy, you know. Kayak, aduh. Tapi my first year of uni, we had a unit. It was about healthy
Meditation.
Meditating unit. So this class we're gonna meditate.
Actually, right? But it was more about like alternative medicine and like health promotion. And yeah, we actually did meditate in class. That was
Oh, really?
how I was first introduced to meditating.
class?
Was in class. No,
Oh.
for like, dude, you can only meditate for 2 minutes. It's fine. So you can do this either way, right? Okay, if you want to start easy. Which apparently I was already doing this without even noticing. But what I like to do is like at least try to be present. You know what I mean by this is like when you're eating, make sure you're actually eating and you know that you're eating.
Yeah.
You're not just a machine doing
Oh my
something.
god, my counselor
Yes.
juga bilang, she also told me kayak try to be mindful about whatever you're doing.
Mindfulness is key. Craig has said, I love you. Anyways. Okay, it's alright. If someone I know is watching this, don't you all make fun of me. I'm like, it helps a lot. Okay, first of all, it's being mindful. And then kayak kalau enggak, enggak sih kalau kayak naik train atau jalan, I'm never on my phone. I don't even
Try to engage with whatever you're doing.
like I'm not even listening to music.
Oh, really?
Huh?
Yeah, no. So what I like to do is just like pay attention to my surroundings. Kayak see kayak, oh yeah, like there are days where I'm just staying here. I'm like, whoa, can't believe I'm in Melbourne.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I feel that actually.
Kayak, whoa, this is a cool place, huh? Kayak, how is everything real? You know, kayak when you take a second to just realize all of this, sounds so sad for you, but like it makes me feel more grounded and like it makes the rest of my day go better.
I agree actually. Kayak kemarin banget. Kayak when I went home by train tuh kayak I realized ini di Australia, di Melbourne
Oh,
ya.
like you can't believe you're actually
Iya,
here.
kayak I'm
gitu kan.
actually in Melbourne, kayak studying abroad, blah blah blah.
I felt that too sih.
So I think this is where like a lot of practices come from, is actually in order to try and be mindful. There's a lot of different ways, kayak yang kayak gratefulness journal, terus kayak apa sih yang kayak where you hype yourself up. You know what I'm talking about?
Iya, tahu.
Yeah, so all of that is just a way of being mindful, because if you're trying to be grateful misalnya, you have to really stop and see your situation kan, kayak what am I currently grateful for, and it's a good way of starting to be mindful of things. And then kayak if you're already okay with that, and then you want to progress and do more, kayak meditation, you don't need to do a long meditation kayak 1 menit 2 menit.
Oh.
It's okay if your mind is like running around, terus kayak you nggak bisa fokus, nggak apa-apa, just acknowledge, okay, so I'm like a bit bored. It's fine, like just acknowledge it.
Because that's what always happens when I try to meditate. I can't stay calm.
Yeah.
Maksudnya, my mind just can't stay in that place for like,
It's okay.
say 10 seconds. Also cannot, man. Also cannot.
Yeah, it's okay. All you have to do is acknowledge it. That's happening.
So it's like more like an acknowledging whatever you're doing gitu.
Yeah.
Whatever
There's a lot of different meditations. But yes, okay, honestly, right? I can't believe this is me now. If old Nai saw this, she would probably laugh at me, but I swear
What you're doing?
I swear it works. If not, right, when you're like brushing your teeth, or like when you're apa sih, usually right, the easiest way for me to do is when I'm trying to sleep. I used to always listen to like true crime as I'm falling asleep, because I have to listen to something before I sleep. But now I think if I can't sleep, I listen to a guided meditation.
Oh really?
Oh, itu banyak, iya bener-bener.
Yang cuman kayak breathing atau gimana, cause I mean it depends on you, right? I don't like the ones yang kayak terlalu banyak ngomongnya. I like yang kayak more focused on breathing and kayak lebih sunyi,
Kayak
you know.
when I was stressful, kayak I slept listening to white noise, which is really helpful.
Yeah. So
Meditating application helps.
do we
people.
want to do a podcast about mindfulness?
Can.
Okay. Now we know Naila. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm exposing myself like this. But yeah.
Well, I want to recommend some application that you can use as a guide for your meditating. For your meditating itu ya, jadi ada kayak Calm. Terus wait, last time my itu apa? The nurse ada.
Headspace.
Headspace. Yeah, that one. It really helps you when you need it.
Yes. Or just YouTube is also fun. Just find
Yeah,
guided
there's a lot of
meditation.
things on YouTube, on Spotify.
Yeah. So check all those out.
The resources are there for you to
It's
use.
so good, guys. I'm not kidding, right? Just try it. Give it a shot. I know this sounds so lame, but try it. Try it. You don't hate on it unless you try it, okay? And if it doesn't work, maybe try a different kind of meditation. But I swear, like, I think I liked it because like terpaksa, in class, like we had to, because like. What else are we gonna do? But I actually really liked it. Like every time I finish the meditation, I'm like, what? That was like 5 minutes? That was 2 minutes? Nggak kerasa kayak 10 detik. And then kayak I feel all warm and energized.
I cannot.
Try it. It's very good.
I just cannot focus, jadi no comment.
It helps me with honestly, right? It's hard for me to start doing it by myself. Terus bosan. Tapi kayak when I'm doing it with other people seru sih.
Well,
Malah lebih nggak bisa concentrate kalau ada other people.
Okay.
mungkin kita bisa coba bertiga.
Bener. Ntar kita cobain.
Supaya another episode. Okay. Anyways, sidetracked AF. But yeah, give it a try. If not, then yeah, we can talk about this another time.
Okay, lanjut.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And then
So I guess we should.
Tarik nafas dulu. Calm yourself down, okay.
Okay, so maybe we should talk about kayak kalau misalkan we feel like we need help, kita tuh ngapain?
Yes. Well, there's many different ways. Kayak tadi pertama kayak first start maybe kayak a baby step would be to tell someone you're close with, kayak friends, family, so that you know you have support. and someone at least knows what you're going through, right? It's already very relieving when you tell someone.
Yeah,
Terus
true.
belum lagi if you
At
find,
least you don't keep it to yourself. Lama enek
Yeah.
tau.
apalagi if you find someone you're actually going through the same thing, then they can relate. It feels nicer when you're like with someone else and
Yeah.
you know they can relate to you. Yeah, and then kayak I would say kayak either talk to your school counselor, kayak the uni.
Yes, that
Obviously,
helps.
that's the first step.
Yeah, that's the first
That's
step.
the easiest
First
thing to
step
do.
matters, you know.
If not, then you can tell your GP, aka dokter umum, right? I mean, at least here.
Di sini.
Ya,
I don't
soalnya
know.
di sini kita nggak bisa. Soalnya to give you guys a bit of context, di Australia kita kalau mau lihat specialist atau apa nggak bisa langsung ke specialist. So we need to like go to a GP dulu baru bisa
Yes.
di refer.
Iya.
Plus, they can give you
professional.
a plan, like a mental
Oh, yes,
health
yes.
plan.
Benar.
Yeah, so that's a good way as well. And then that way you can be referred to psychologist or psychiatrist, whichever is suitable for you, or just another counselor, because that way they can offer more help. If not, then there's a lot of different resources. Kayak Beyond Blue, and then apa? Headspace is also an organization, right? Di sini, is it Headspace? Yes, I think. I'm pretty sure. I
don't
will
know.
double check.
I don't know.
No, let's double check while she talk. Okay?
Yeah, I think it's Headspace. Terus there are a lot of online like resources where you can like call or chat with
Yeah.
them. So depending on which one you like or which one is suitable for you, anything is fine as long as you ask for help.
Especially kayak at this time and age tuh kayak banyak
Oh,
banget
Yeah, on Headspace, right?
NPO, non-profit organization,
Yes.
yang kayak emang fokusnya to help us if we need help. So just find something that fits you because it's different for for everyone.
Yes. So Jesilyn has confirmed it is indeed called Headspace. Di situ banyak counselors and like pokoknya people, yeah, a lot of professionals who can help you with what you're going through. So yeah, do that. Please ask for help.
Yes.
Can mental illness be cured? That's a question that a lot of people ask, right?
Iya.
Well, it's not that simple.
It's not that
It's-
simple. It takes time and process.
Yeah.
Well,
It depends on what.
Tapi sebenarnya I think like it's not cured but it's managed.
Yeah,
I feel like
that's-
mental illness, in regards to helping, it's a bit different than physical
Yes.
health in a way.
Yes. So right, what I said earlier, kayak we were talking about this. It was like apa ya? Kayak I know people want to say kayak cure gitu. Kayak when you say cure itu kayak anggapannya kayak oh yeah, okay,
Bener-bener
after you
sembuh gitu.
bener-bener
Nggak
sembuh,
ada
like
apa-apa
you don't need
lagi
to get
gitu.
treatment anymore and then you're completely fine, right? And this completely depends on also like what you're going through. Kayak depending if like you're going through say anxiety atau kayak schizophrenia gitu kan, kayak it's not that simple. You see, you have schizophrenia, you're diagnosed with schizophrenia, ya sudah, right? You just
Yeah.
deal with it, right? You manage it. It's more of a management system where you seek for help and you know how to manage what you're going through. So like say you get a stressor, you know what to do now and how to make sure that it doesn't trigger anything too serious.
Yeah, so you don't spiral down.
Yes, and then kayak there are certain cases yang juga kayak perhaps a psychiatrist can give you some medication, tapi again depending on the situation, right? But you also have to keep in mind that mental health isn't like physical health. It's more of a spectrum, kayak tadi kita mentioned at the very very start, right? It's not just being okay and not being okay, right? You can be anywhere along this spectrum at any time of your life. Judy said today I'm completely fine. The next day I might not be fine.
I'm not even sure the next hour I might be fine. or
Yeah,
not.
true.
Exactly. So don't look at it as a way like, oh, I want to be cured, blah blah blah. You just want to make sure you're able
You're
to manage
okay.
it.
You're able to cope with it and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, one day at a time, right? That's
Slowly, it's
key. Yeah, don't rush it, friends.
Yeah. Okay.
Gak ada yang namanya instan, guys.
Yeah.
Butuh proses.
And like, how does one recognize someone who needs help? Tadi kita sempat ngomong sih sebenarnya,
Yeah.
kayak
It's actually difficult to know.
Yes.
Because like
Tergantung orangnya itu mau di read kayak gimana ya, kayak cause some people kan bisa dibaca gitu loh,
Iya.
kayak are you okay, kayak you're acting a bit different today gitu, like are you okay, like is there anything bothering you gitu.
I think it depends juga on like what
What
the
they're
condition
going through.
is. Terus juga kayak tadi kita kan sempat bilang at the start, kayak just because you don't necessarily like experience any drastic changes in your daily life, doesn't mean you can't get diagnosed with something, right?
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, a lot of people kayak tadi go undiagnosed because they don't notice that they're going through something. So it's really hard. There are certain characteristics yang kayak are associated with the more common ones, yang kayak say kayak change in mood, yang kayak mood changes yang kayak benar-benar fluctuate, atau maybe kayak they're just acting differently, atau kayak pulling away from other people, kayak trying to isolate themselves because kayak they just don't have the capability of like telling people atau gimana. Kayak there are certain changes that you might be able to notice, but again, like we said earlier, the only thing you can do is ask. Are you okay? Check up on someone. You know, that's the only thing, the best thing you can do. Is
That's the reason why I think in the event Are You Okay? It's named as Are You
Yes.
Okay for okay. Like
Yes.
it's pretty much self-explanatory sih.
Yes.
Kayak nanya aja Are you okay? Like you pretty much know what's going on
Yeah.
gitu by
Yes.
asking Are you okay?
And sometimes like having someone ask are you okay, it means a
feels
lot to
a lot.
someone
Oh my
gitu.
God.
It means a lot.
even if you don't disclose what's
Yeah.
happening, like at least you know someone cares about you.
Yeah,
Right?
like even if you're not going through anything, it just means a lot, you know, kayak
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
someone care about you, kayak oh
they
they
care.
care
how
about me,
thoughtful
yeah,
dia
how
nanya
thoughtful.
about my well-being gitu.
Yeah, because kayak apa ya? Again, kayak kalau misalnya orang nggak mau bilang, ya
Nggak
you
bisa
can only do
maksa
so much.
sih.
And this is the important thing, right? I know it's really hard. Kayak say you know something's off with someone, but they don't want to tell you. But you obviously want to help, right? And you're very concerned for them. You have to know that it's not necessarily your responsibility to like make sure that they have to tell me like I need to get them help, blah blah blah. You can only do so much. You know, you're also responsible for your mental health, mental well-being, and again, if this is putting so much strain on you, like it's also not good.
But the fact that you're willing to help or you're willing to offer things you can do gitu, itu udah, I feel like it already means a lot, you know, to be honest.
I would say just start with asking, and
Just
then
start, yeah.
just that's the main thing. And then if you're struggling, kaya because like the person doesn't want to let you help them, and then you're starting to struggling with the fact that you can't help them, you should seek for help.
And then it's the problem itu sekarang jadinya you.
Yeah.
You're the problem now,
Yeah.
not the itu.
Yeah, and I can't tell you what you're supposed to do because
Yeah.
I also don't know what to do like when it happens to me, you know. Kaya all you can do is like try your best. And it's sad, but
Yeah, there's nothing much you can do.
yeah, that's better than nothing. And yeah, you can always again ask your professional for advice. I can't give you advice, they can, you know, depending on your situation.
But
Yeah.
if you want like some kind of like advices atau nggak cara gitu yang dikasih tahu sama those professional organization websites gitu on how to help, you can start by trying small action. Again, kayak yang tadi kita bilang, ya jagain, care for them, or approach them gitu ya. Terus udah gitu, the next step is like encouraging them to get enough sleep. Cause I can't stress enough on how important is sleep to your health, man. Without kayak kalau nggak tidur cukup tuh your body, your mind, everything is not functioning properly. So that's why you need sleep gitu.
Yes, and yeah, I guess what you're trying to do in these steps itu, it's like trying to help support them in all other aspects of their life, not necessarily like pushing them. You have to tell me what's going on, but like you're
slowly.
Yeah, you're trying to slowly help with everything else as
Lebih
well.
kayak build their trust.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dan baru gitu.
Yes,
Nggak
and-
bisa lah ya. I don't think you would want
Yeah.
someone to come up to you out of the blue. Hey, are you okay? No, right? Like you want it to be slowly, progressively, like build, like earn their
I
trust.
guess it depends on the situation juga. Because if you see someone in immediate danger, then you should
Yeah,
like
you should.
immediately
Oh, yeah,
ask them, and then
yeah.
you're like, okay, so I'm gonna like, are you okay? And then if they say like yes/no, like okay, would you like me to make an appointment for you kayak with the counselor? Kayak I can
Yeah, depends on the
make it for
situation.
yeah. So it really depends. Kayak there's so many ways, guys, but all you can do is try.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I guess.
Tapi ya, I think juga encourage them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe that's all for like
Yes.
this for part 1 because we're also gonna have a part 2 in which kita bakal ngomongin tentang pengalaman kita dan mungkin kayak saya seputar
Go
itulah.
into more detail.
Go into more detail kayak kita tuh pernah ngalamin apa maybe atau mungkin kayak teman kita atau apa. And that's gonna be
Yeah.
a long episode too. So
Yes.
chime in next
Yeah.
week ya.
Yeah. So thank you so much for tuning in. I know it's like a very difficult episode today.
A bit heavy ya the topic.
Yeah.
Iya, and bahkan kita aja kayak agak takut
Iya,
ngomongin
sebenarnya kita
aslinya.
takut sih ngomong.
Takut salah ngomong.
Iya.
Yeah, but yeah, I hope this helped in any way, shape, or form.
Take it with the grain or salt, okay guys?
Yeah.
Pokoknya goal kita hari ini is to spread awareness.
and to let you know you're not alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And before we go again, just to make sure you guys know, again, we are not professionals. We are only here to talk about our own research and what we know. Please do further research, double check on what we've mentioned,
And
talk to
also-
a professional.
Yes, and also refer to the information that we linked. No,
Yeah.
the what do you use?
Yes. link
Description
the
below.
yeah,
Description below.
Yeah.
Check lagi ya guys.
For those of you in Spotify, don't forget to follow us. And do you get to like this episode? Yes.
No,
No, I
no,
don't
you
think
get to like the whole profile.
Okay. Well, anyway,
like our profile.
And on YouTube, don't forget to like.
Comment.
and subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you get a
Yeah.
notification every time we upload, including our part 2 next week.
And,
Stay tuned, okay?
And don't forget to follow us on social media,
At
Instagram
PPIA
at PPIA Monash.
And TikTok too now.
Oh, and
Oh
TikTok.
yeah, and TikTok.
And TikTok too.
TikTok.
Yeah, and yeah, that's all we have for you today. We hope you enjoyed, and
Bye. Oh my god, see you guys. Bye. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
The clapping is unreal.